So what's new at Integrated Ag? It's been a really interesting time for us. I think in agriculture in general, it's an interesting time. One is from a financial standpoint, things are pretty tight again. We're probably back to normal, to where it's not easy to be profitable in agriculture today. And believe it or not, that same thing happens as we go through the businesses that support agriculture. It makes us sharpen our knives and think about things a little bit differently. So a couple of big things that we've done is and the reason why this building is here is we build a soil lab, and we're doing all of our own soil analysis. And if you haven't had a chance, later on today, you should take a tour of the lab. For us, it's really helped us a bunch, streamlining things. We can now, what used to take as long as 16 days from the time we pulled the sample till we got results back to you guys, now we're down to maybe 5 to 7 days is pretty standard, sometimes even a little less than that. Much better quality control. It's just really been a really good thing for us, and the result of that is really this building. So that's something really big and new for us. An advanced precision ag program, we kicked this off last year, or kind of on a beta version. We're using Premier Crop Services and their system to do benchmarking, as far as we use a lot of what we call CPUs, common production units, where we break your farms into common units that we can then measure against and benchmark against. And we also do these ELBs. You'll hear about these later on today, enhanced learning blocks. It's a great way to do on-farm research and be able to eke out some really good data, tie some statistics back to it, so we can challenge ourselves to make sure that what we're seeing is really real. And then later on this morning, we're going to talk about AI, artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning. We're hooked up with a company. This company's out of Israel. It's called Tyrannus, and it's some really awesome technology as far as, I think, how it's really going to change agronomy and the way you farm in the future. It's probably just the cutting edge, the early stages of what this deep learning is going to be able to provide for us. So those are some of the new things we're doing. So a little bit of housekeeping to make sure we get taken care of. So I want to make sure that you guys understand that we really need your input back to us on this meeting. The only way this meeting gets better is if we hear from you guys. And we're big boys and big girls. If there's something you don't like about the way we're presenting, or topics you want us to present, please let us know what you want to see in this meeting in the future. It's been a really good program for us. We've had good attendance, and we want to keep it that way. But it's not about putting people in the seats. It's more about making sure that you guys see value in doing something like this. For those of you that have our crop advisor, have CCAs, we do have credits for this meeting. Cecilia has the sign-up sheets, and she's going to be passing those around. So make sure you get your CEU credits today as we move along. Restrooms. The restrooms are right outside the door, probably the door you came in. So if you need to use the restrooms, we will have a break in between, in the middle, but it's right outside the door, and you can use them right out there. Let's see, what else? Lunch plans. We're going to serve lunch right here. It's going to be a buffet style, and we'll guide you through it, but we're not leaving. We're going to stay right here for lunch. And then after lunch, we've got the dicamba training. Part of the labeling for dicamba is if you're going to apply dicamba, we all have to be recertified. Even if you were certified last year, you have to re-up on that. And the folks from BASF are going to be in here to do that training, so we can check that off our list. So one of the big projects that really we've been working on for about 5 years. It started out it was a software development that we did, and it was called the Profit Calculator. And the reality of the Profit Calculator was it was a failure, to be real honest with you. And there were lots of reasons for that failure, but probably as much as anything was the learning curve to understand how to build software from a small consulting company like us. We weren't equipped to be able to handle that. But because I'm a stubborn old Dutchman, I wouldn't give up on the project. And we've really been working in the background now for about 2 years, trying to redevelop the product into something that, from all those mistakes we made, we've learned all along the way. Almost every time, every day, really, we talk about this project, we always refer back to, oh yeah, we don't want to do it that way again. And so we're here today to really introduce My Farm Solutions. And it is the rebirth of the profit calculator. And we're going to talk a little bit about this today and how it works and so forth. But some of the mistakes we made is, one of them was on the software development side. Really probably started with me not understanding how to do software development, but then also having the right team of developers to do it. We are not software programmers. We've hired that done. Silicus is the name of the company. We've been very, very happy with what they've done for us. The other is what we're trying to do is we know we can't build all this technology ourselves, so we're trying to link to whoever we can, whenever we can, to tie the technology together. And Itiris is a really good weather company. They provide really good weather information for us and give us the ability to provide weather on a field level basis. DTN, you've probably all heard of DTN. They provide our marketing services. So we've got all the grain markets and local cash bids coming from them. And then there's a company you may not have heard of before. It's called Onsite. And they're a software development company, but they've got a product called Onsite that allows us to connect all kinds of different things like My John Deere and climate and all those things. So those are the big connections we've made so far in this product. The other is, and Corey's going to be up here in just a minute to talk, but the learnings again is that Dave Scheider was the guy that was trying to ramrod this software development when it was called the profit calculator. And Corey has stepped in and filled that role and done an excellent job. And so now we've got somebody that focuses on this on a daily basis, and that's really what needed to happen. And that's probably, of all these things, that's been the one thing that's really made this move forward nicely. This is just a roadmap of what we're going to do with Profit Calculator. It is not completed yet. And one of the things we've learned is that we're going to build things right and release them, and then we're going to add more things to it. We're not going to build them wrong and release them, and we're not going to try and push everything out all at one time. And so the ones that you have stars beside are the things that we've been focusing on, and we're going to, Corey is going to talk about those here right now, about what we've done to build this platform out, to get it started and get it in front of you guys. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Corey.
All right, thank you, Dave. I'll pick that. There it goes. All right, thank you, Dave. Over about the next 10 minutes, I will be discussing the features of My Farm Solutions. And the features include weather stations, grain markets, futures and options, field sharing, and user accounts. So whenever you sign into My Farm Solutions, you'll come to this landing page. This is a weather forecast and history page. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but we did put a good amount of effort into listing the weather items that you would want to use on a regular basis. We try to provide enough detail for you to see, and then also allow quick viewing. This page and all the other pages are formatted to fit your phone or other mobile devices. Moving down the navigation, we go to the weather maps. This is particularly the grid view of this. You can select your farm or field, and this will narrow down the table. In this table, you see accumulation of precipitation during different time periods at the field level. If you want a more graphical display, you can choose this map version. Again, you can choose your farm or field, but this time you see the field boundaries there in the middle. And this allows you to compare it to the weather maps. There's quite a few different map layers that you can choose to look at. Radar, precipitation amounts. These are at different time intervals. Some of these maps you can put into motion for animation. The arrow points to an icon for a personal weather station that has been registered to the site. Personal weather stations allow for the physical measuring of the rainfall, where the weather maps are more of a computer estimation. So we'll let you guys decide on what you feel is more accurate, but they both are present. As we gain more users, we want to add more weather stations. So each of the users can add their own. And this will become a network where you can click on somebody else's weather station to view their details. So you'll get the full perspective of kind of what happened on that rain event. When you click on one of the icons, you can see the details of that particular weather station. So you can click on different ones and get the readings. The website will record readings every 10 minutes, so you can see them in the table. And this page is formatted much like the forecast page. If you use the info item button, it'll take you to more information. We will be selling these personal weather stations, but if you have your own, there's a good chance that we can connect to it. Here's a compatibility list that you can check out to see if maybe a weather station you have can connect. If you purchase or have your own, there's a good chance you still need this box or this chip that fits into the Davis station. This will bridge the gap from the weather station sensors to the internet and then to our website. These next two steps, won't get into them, but it takes you through more information and how to make that connection if you wanted to do this on your own. Either way, you can talk to Mike Grand or myself, and we can help you get connected. Moving on from weather, we'll go to grain markets. Here we'll talk about cash bids, futures, options, and then news. And as Dave said, this is all provided from DTN. Today we're going to particularly talk about the cash bids. You will be able to search and select elevators in your area or that you're interested in. You can type in your city or zip code in this box, and it will give you a list of search items for those elevators. When you find one that you're interested in, click on the plus icon, and then it will take you into it. You will be able to add your freight cost, your cost per bushel that it takes to get your grain from your bins to the elevator. This cost is subtracted from the price at the end. When you're satisfied, click the green check mark. And now each time you come to visit this page, you can see your saved elevators. This one happened to be the one I was adding to that demonstration. So on your search results, the list will be sorted. It'll be grouped by crops, and then the best prices with your freight costs included will show at the top. So it'll be a quick reference to the highest prices. Setting up fields is easy to do. You can import shape files for your field boundaries or draw them in yourself. Even easier, talk to a trusted advisor and they can build your accounts for you. Which takes us to the select dealer. So as we continue to grow, we want to add participating dealers or companies to this site. This allows users to connect to more people, gaining more knowledge or having people help you enter your data. And to do that, you would just select the dealer, and then you can choose a particular consultant that you want to work with. This does allow them access to your account, but as I mentioned, this will allow them to help you with your data. And if they build that account for you, then this connection has already been established. If you want to be more particular with your data and only maybe share a portion of it, you can use this share data. You'll have the option to either share or completely move data to another account. In this example, we will use the share option. On step 2, you would just enter the username for the person you want to share with, and then you'll get the name of that person to make sure you're sending it to the right person. The final step, you select your farm and field that you want to share. Right now we're just sharing field boundaries, but as we grow you'll be able to share different data layers like yield or planting, different layers to different people. Select the permission level. You can either view only, or if you want this person to edit, you can select that as well. After clicking done, the next time this person enters the website, they will now be able to see your information. So now that you've seen the features that we have ready, you're probably asking, how can I sign up? I want to check this out for myself. So you can talk to a trusted advisor. They can build your account for you. And I know some of them have been working on this last week, so maybe even they have your account already started. Otherwise, if you don't use an advisor, type in myfarmsolutions.net, you'll come to the sign-in page, and at the bottom there's a link for free sign-up. It's a 2-page form. The first part of the form is where you build your farm account, and the second page is where you build your user account. So the person that creates the account is the primary user, and I would recommend that this is the person that will be most active. You can always go in later and add more users to your account. So you can add other family members or employees that you have. This allows them to have their own account, and then you don't have to share usernames or passwords. They can have their own. So I'm going to turn it back over to Dave. He's going to discuss the direction.
Stay up there. We've got some questions.
Oh, right.
Will My Farm Solutions be available in app style in the future?
So we don't have any plans for an app at this time, but we do spend a lot of effort into making this format for your phone. And if you get into your account, you can go to the settings, and you can do this on your own too, but you can create an icon for your home screen on your phone that you can tap each time. Just save your credentials, that way you don't have to log in each time. But so to answer the question, really no, but we feel that right now it does work really well on the phone.
Can you tap into a DTN weather station?
We were testing Dave's out this week, and we do think we can. They're Davis stations, and really, we have a Davis station registered here at the office, and they connect really well. You probably still will need the box or that chip. I recommend the chip that fits into the back of into the console, but I think we can. Talk to Mike or myself, and we can help.
So can you get the weather and markets texted or emailed?
Not at this time yet, but Evan, this has been a big feature that he's been pushing. We will have notifications. We just need a little bit more time to see what notifications we want to do. These will be some of them, yes.
So this is about uploading information from other software pieces like SMS. Can you do that?
Not currently, but this summer we are working. I think that handout has what's coming in 2019 or the end of this year. And Dave talked about on-site. This will be a piece that we connect. So we hope to have whatever software or data that you have, whatever data types, that you can bring it in seamlessly. That's a huge challenge, and we will be addressing that. Currently it's shapefiles, but yes, in the near future.
How many weather stations can I install?
There's no limit, so you can set up as many as you want. You'll have a drop-down list, so you can, on your details page, you will be able to choose from the drop-down list on what you want to see for the details. All the icons will show up on the map, so as many as you want.
So I think we've got a Slido question that's going to come up now. Thank you, Corey. So the roadmap, we're back to the roadmap here again, and this probably doesn't mean a lot to you guys, but the message I'm trying to convey is that there are a lot of steps in this process, and we're trying to be very pragmatic, methodical, however the word you want to use, as we step through each one of these. And a lot of what's been done so far is a lot of the back office or backside stuff that really requires a lot of time to get built right. But if we don't do those right first, then everything falls apart later. So what does the future bring? And this is where it starts to get fun. So now, and we talked about, there's a question about importing data, and that really does fall on the shoulders of the on-site, which what the on-site allows us to do is for example, your John Deere Command Center or My John Deere, that will allow us to connect from that into our system, or SMS, or just really all the major equipment manufacturers and software packages out there will be able to connect through that into our system. So you're going, well, what does that mean? Well, what that means is now we can start to import your data and start cleaning that data without anybody having to touch it and move it around, which on our side is a huge problem, because whenever we have to grab yield data, clean yield data, process it, understand what's going on, and then push it up into the system, that all takes time and takes a lot of human intervention. Through this system, that's all going to be automated, so it just happens. So what does it do for you? Well, just imagine what that can do then is in this system, your yield data would be brought in, processed, cleaned up, and pushed out into the system, so you could start looking at your yields by field, by CPU, by hybrid, and also you may want to be, because everybody's contributing into this, from an anonymous standpoint, you'll be able to look at everybody else's yields by CPU, by hybrid, and so forth. It'll also allow you to tie into a profit and loss side of things, where as you harvest, you'll be going from yield estimates to actual yields, and from that you'll be able to see whether basically what your level of profitability is as you move through from growing a crop to harvesting a crop. Just one example, but that's what it's all about. So all these things are going to be coming this summer. We're going to be working on these. It's probably going to be a fall release before we get there. Another lesson learned is never promise dates, because we don't know for sure. But I just wanted to let you know that we are moving forward with this, and there's lots of neat and new features going to be coming as we go forward. So I want to try and frame this just a little bit before we jump off of my farm. My farm it's new and different in that it's a different mindset. A lot of what's been going on, particularly from the farm gate, from the farmer, is this is my data and I'm going to hold it tight and I don't want to share it because it's mine. And we firmly believe that it's your data. We firmly believe that it belongs to you, but it's your data. It's the information that's really valuable. And what we believe is that we want to try and really embrace the sharing side of things. That your data, your information is going to be much more valuable if you share it. Share it with your banker. Share it with your seedsman. Share it with your agronomist. Share it with your landlords. That's how we're going to really bring value into this data to information to knowledge transfer. And really what we want to be with my farm is we're not going to be this standalone platform that this is the only platform you ever use. That is absolutely not what it's about. It's about trying to build a platform that allows you to share and share efficiently. And you choose who you want to share with and when you want to share. It's really because this is what we do, is we're the trusted advisor. we want to stand beside you. What we see is farmers wear many, many hats. Farmers are mechanics, farmers are bankers, farmers are agronomists, farmers are a lot of different things, and in any given day you may be all those things in one day. What we see is farmers sometimes are data managers, but most of the time they're not. And we think we can fit that need as a trusted advisor to help you organize your data so you can share it out and you can turn it into valuable information. I guess I want to say it again, that we think that you as a grower are not going to have one software platform, one app that you use exclusively. We think that you're going to have many apps. It's like what you've got on your phone. You've got 20, 30, 50, however many apps. And each one of you is going to have different apps that you rely on more than others. We want to help you facilitate that. We want to make API connections with those apps that make sense for us to partner with. We want to make sure that your data transfer is seamless if you want to move it out into another platform. And we think that's going to be the value of what we do, that really we don't know of anybody else that's really taken this approach yet. And this all comes back from the old saying, all agronomy is local. And what that means is so right down the road here is Darby Creek. And anybody that's on that side of Darby knows it's not the same as it is on this side of the Darby. It's different agronomy. It's different growing conditions. And because of that, we do things different over here. We can plant really early. You get on the other side of Darby, you think about when you're going to plant. And that's important. So when you think about how you pull data together, how you take data, turn it into information and knowledge, we have to be all about the local agronomy. And this is why I believe that each one of you is going to have different types of apps that you're going to want to connect to, because your agronomy is specific to your geography. And we hope to be able to be a part of that. So just one, it's free. This piece is all about getting you guys signed up, learning about the weather, the grain markets, getting your field boundaries in, and getting you used to using the system. There's no charge for this. It's just about you guys getting comfortable with the system and hopefully seeing value in it. So please sign up for it. It's easy. Corey went through the steps. We've got lots of guys here with white shirts and gray jackets that'll get your field boundaries loaded for you if you want. So give it a try. I think with that, we'll pass it off to the next one.
All right, am I on here? Good? All right, this is the first time I've used a wireless mic, so bear with me. Has anybody seen the movie Talladega Nights? Where Ricky Bobby's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. And so if my hands start, going all over the place, just bear with me. So, all right, today I'm going to talk about making money from data analytics. So for those of you who do not know me, my name is Evan Dell, and I am in charge of sales and marketing at Integrated Ag, and I lead the team of crop consultants here. So just to lay a little bit of groundwork of what I'm going to talk about today, we're going to talk about my perspective of farming and the ag industry, the time I've been involved in ag. We're going to talk about making money and budgets, comparing cost per acre versus cost per bushel, and then we're going to talk about the value of data and how integrated ag can help improve your profit by using data. So just to give you a little understanding of where I'm coming from, I started my ag career in the year 2010. So I've been involved in the ag industry for a little over 9 years now, and it's just been amazing to me to see the amount of ups and downs in the economy, and then also the advancements in ag technology have been unbelievable just within those 9 years. So this here is a graph showing corn prices from the year 2009 to 2018. And as you can see here in 2010, when I started into my ag career, this was the start of that uphill climb of $7 corn. These were the good years from 2010 to 2013. You know, I am a millennial, so for my generation, this is the first time that we have seen a down ag economy. Did anybody here in the room sell corn for $8.24 on July 12th of 2012? Is anybody willing to admit that? I can tell you the first time I sat down and did a budget with $7, $8 corn, I was floored at how much money my neighbor was making. I was like, this farming thing's a pretty good gig. I think we're going to have to pause here for a second until we figure out what's going on up here. I'm not a good singer, so I'm not going to sing for you guys.
You can dance, can you?
Done. Hit the wrong button. Can we switch screens maybe?
Yeah.
So how much rain has everybody gotten so far? Too much. Good now? All right, I quickly realized that there was more to farming than all fun and games, farming my parents' home, carpet farming every square foot of my parents' home. So back in 2016, I decided to start farming on my own. I only farm about 15 acres, but I more or less did this to put my farmer's cap on, sit on the other side of the table, understand the type of risk that you guys take every single day, the risk, the stress, understand how to put together a budget, purchase inputs, and market grain. So let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. How are we going to make money in today's economic climate? This is a hard topic to talk about, and it's really not a fun topic to talk about, but we're going to talk about it. At the end of the day, the more bushels that you get into your grain bins, the more profitable you are going to be. We know that profit, row crop production is heavily tied to yield. This was a program done by the Iowa Soybean Association several years ago called the Premier Profitability Program. It was a 4-year program, and they analyzed growers' production practices, their production cost, and their marketing. And what they found at the end of that 4 years was that yield was always the number one factor in cost difference from grower to grower. To where at times there were $140 an acre cost difference between growers, and that it was never related to cutting back on cost or different marketing decisions. So this brings me to my next topic, to where I want to maybe challenge everybody in the room, and maybe everybody here is already thinking this way, but to start looking at your operation not only by cost per acre, but also to look at it by cost per bushel. Naturally, in a low-price commodity cycle, some might think that cutting cost per acre is the key metric to success, when really cutting cost per acre could have a severe impact on your profitability, yield. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. This is just a quick reminder that everyone here, we are in a high fixed cost business. So let's go ahead and talk about the differences between fixed cost and variable cost. You can see here on the left, things like variable costs are seed, fertilizer, chemical, etc. And then over here on the right side, you have things like management, equipment, land, and taxes. You know, those costs are pretty much going to stay the same. You're not going to quit paying your wife. You're not going to sell your pickups, and you know, land and taxes. Those prices are probably going to remain the same. The one thing I want everybody to focus on is the top half of this variable cost. To where that top half of that variable cost only represents less than 37% of your total production cost. These are costs that you could potentially cut back on. And we'll talk about that here in the budget. So let's go ahead and talk budgets. This budget was directly pulled out of the Ohio State University's 2019 corn budget. And you can see here that I have different production numbers up top here, ranging from 150 all the way up to 225 bushels. And we'll kind of work our way through the budget. Some of these prices, you know, might seem inflated to you, but I challenge you to, you know, plug in your own numbers into the budget. And the point I'm trying to get across is that it's hard to make money, you know, growing corn in today's economic climate. And once again, coming back to these variable costs, to where you could maybe plant cheaper seed, you could potentially cut back on your fertilizers, your chemical program, but at the end of the day, all of these inputs have a direct impact on your yield. And these are the costs that integrated ag can help you with. All right, so let's talk about data and the value of data and what it can bring to your operation. So what if I told you that this green dot here was the biggest asset on your operation? It's not. You know, things like land are probably a bigger asset than this, but this spatial data point can bring a lot of value to your operation. And what we have found in integrated ag is that the more data that you can collect, the better you are. A perfect example of this is yield data. This is a 117-acre field, and across this 117-acre field, you can see that there are 23,691 spatial data points that combine collected across that field. And if you were to grid this out across the field, that's what you would come up with. Just to show an example of collecting data, John Deere recently released a new monitor last year that is collecting 5 times the data points. So you take that number like this, that 23,000, and multiply that by 5, and that's how many spatial data points you'll have collected across your field. So here on the left, you can see this is how they're collecting it, how many points they're collecting today, and then on the right, compared to how they were collecting. And I will say that there can be consequences to collecting data at this resolution, and we experienced this with collecting whole field imagery across the field, to where you have enormous amounts of data to process, and our software, our processing power today can't quite handle. It can, but you know, we need to have improvement on that. So how can integrated ag make all this data valuable to you? Integrated ag, we can help you transform your data into value-added information and show a return on investment. Our job with all of this data is to provide agronomic, economic, and an environmental solution to improve your overall profitability. And I'm just going to kind of run through some services that we offer in integrated ag. And each one of these services all have one thing in common. We use data to bring value to you, the grower. So my first example here is our HD soil sampling system. You can see here on the left is our comparing 2.5-acre traditional soil sampling to our HD soil sampling. In this example, it's a 1/4-acre grid. And you can simply see by the more data points you take, the higher resolution that you're going to get, which is the better information that you're going to have to be able to put your inputs where they truly need to be. And so this is some data that we pulled. This is some data that we pulled across some growers that have been implementing the HD soil sampling system on their operation. across about 80,000 acres. And you can see here, 2011 is the first year that we started doing the HD soil sampling. And what this is showing is the total tons of lime that these particular growers were using. You can see in 2012 they were at 12,000 tons for the year, and now in 2018 you can see where they're at, where it was a 78% decrease in total lime tons across these 80,000 acres. And I think we can all make the assumption that the soil pH didn't just magically correct itself, and that this is a direct result of collecting higher resolution data and making better decisions. And we can also make the assumption that because we're improving soil pH, we're also improving yield. So how can our consulting services help bring value with to all of this data? First off, hiring a ag consultant, they are a high value asset to your operation. I mean, you are hiring a professional for really the small cost of your overall production cost. And I'll give some ROI examples to some ways to how we can show a return on investment. Many times I see that just simple recommendations, can pay for that small consulting fee. And then also, maximizing the grower's efficiency is key. At the end of the day, there is no easy button for you guys to click and to make sense of all of this data. So to have an agronomic advisor there to make sense of all of this data is key. And then lastly, the importance of having a trusted digital data manager. We understand that you guys might not want to give your data out because it might get used against you. But our mindset is you're collecting all that data, you might as well use it. We don't want to see this data just put away in a filing cabinet and not put to use, not to bring the value out of it. So just a quick example of how a agronomic consultant can bring a return on investment to your operation. In this particular example, the consultant developed a CPU management zone from half-acre grid soil sampling, prescribed the seeding recommendation that averaged 30,000 plants per acre. The corn yielded 230 bushels, which resulted in a $14 an acre in seed savings. So not only did the consultant use data to determine that hybrid performed better at lower populations, but he also had a $14 an acre seed cost savings to the grower. So we do have some advanced consulting programs. This is more of a in-depth analytical consulting package that we offer to our growers. Basically, we can use the technology that you guys have already invested in and validate and reaffine things that you're doing on your operation. So some examples of this are our learning block programs. And essentially, learning block programs, you can test anything on your farm. So I believe that every product works somewhere, but not everywhere. So this is a good way to really validate what you're doing on your operation. So in this particular, I'll try and explain these learning blocks real quick. In this particular example, we're looking at soybean population. So a low soybean population rate compared to a higher soybean population. In the light gray areas is where the learning block was. Each learning block is about an acre. And then it compares that population to the neighboring cells. So you can see in each one of these examples there was a yield increase by decreasing the soybean population, and then it ties in economics behind it as well to show you what the return on investment was. And then we also have what are called our enhanced learning blocks, and this is a larger study with 2 to 4 acre blocks with multiple rates inside of those blocks. And everything is randomized and replicated throughout that block. And then we also are tying in statistics behind this. So not only are we checking to see yield differences, but we're checking to see if they are actually significantly different. And then the thing that I love about this is that everything is executed with your equipment, with your large-scale equipment operating at normal speeds. And then for you as the grower, the advantage is that everything is pre-prescribed. So you don't have to mess around with putting up flags or punching stuff into the monitor. You plant or apply whatever you're doing as you normally would. So the top left is just a prescription showing the learning block loaded up. Bottom left is just showing that this is done with large-scale equipment. And then the right here is just a quick statistical whisker chart that shows that we are tying in statistics on the results. And then this is just a quick report. This was a fungicide application, basically fungicide versus no fungicide with a number of 2 rates, with a total of, each rate was replicated out 6 times, and with a total of 12 replications, and the whole size of the block was 4 acres. And you can see that there was a yield difference in this particular study. So I'm not going to touch a whole lot on this because we have a speaker that's going to be presenting later on today, but another service that can bring value is our aerial scouting programs. Just imagine if you could have a 100-acre field with 100 data points, 100 scouting data points across that field. And each one of those points, is this video playing? Okay. Each one of those points is a high-resolution image that ties in artificial intelligence behind that image. And that software can determine and detect things like northern corn leaf blight, diseases, or insects, weeds. So just think about the way that we scout fields now for fungicide. We walk into the field, we figure out what hybrids are susceptible, we walk into the field, go past the inrows, check a couple spots, and that's how we make our decisions. And now we have technology to where you can have hundreds of these scouting data points across your whole entire operation and be able to make really accurate decisions. So where this could be potential a $30 an acre fungicide savings of applying or not applying, or it could be $100 an acre of protected yield. Another service that could bring data or bring value to data is our IAS yield trials. Most of the major seed companies are enrolled into this program, and we have locations all throughout the state of Ohio and the state of Indiana. The one thing that I want everyone to focus on, this is the 2018 multi-plot results. And one thing that I want everybody to focus on right here is the far right column, the number of replications. Each one of these replications is essentially a data point of how that hybrid performed. So as you can see, the more replications that hybrid has, the more confident that you are that it performed at that level. We can even take it a step farther and look at multiple years. So this next one I'm going to show you is data from 2016, 2017, and 2018. And once again, 174 replications that hybrid performed at that level. That is really good data to you guys. And the best thing about this, for you as a grower, it's free. So I will touch on, we do offer some hardware solutions here at Integrated Ag. We are an ag leader dealer, and you guys have many options to choose from when it comes to collecting all this data and precision ag equipment. I think the main key is just to be sure that you're collecting good data. Because if we don't have good data, we can't make the decisions or get the value out of it. And then lastly, we do sell tile plows, and Hannah Morale is here today if you have any interest in any Soil Max tile plows, or you can contact Mike Grand. But at the end of the day, we know that weather and soil have a huge impact on yield. So if we don't have our water management correct, then essentially everything I just talked about doesn't matter. Okay, so how can data bring value from an environmental standpoint? At Integrated Ag, we look at things not only from a production perspective, but also an environmental perspective. So we are a part of the 4R voluntary program, here at Integrated Ag. And just imagine if you're sitting across the table from a state regulator one day. I hope that day doesn't come for you. But just imagine if you do, how much more confident you're going to be in that meeting if you have hundreds of data points across your operation to show what you're doing on your farm. And you could be able to tell them that you're applying nutrients at a half-acre grid level, not only to save you on inputs, but to increase yield and doing what's best for the environment. And I'm not going to touch a whole lot on this because Corey and Dave have already covered this, but I believe that a platform like My Farm Solutions is going to be kind of the glue that holds all of this together. You have many data management platforms out there. We feel that this kind of ties everything in that we do and believe in, and then allows you to have all this information in a safe place at your fingertips. So just to conclude everything that I've talked about, we can't make money farming using data. IAS can use all this data to help you spread your fixed production cost over more units of production, which will lower your overall cost per bushel. And then lastly, yield is king. And I'll leave you with these two quotes here. You can't save yourself into prosperity. You can spend yourself poor, but you can't save yourself rich. I'm not up here saying this that the answer is to go out and spend all your money and that's how we're going to make money. But what I am, the message I am trying to get across is that it's not about cutting costs, because cutting costs can have a direct impact on your yield. That's all I got. Are there any questions to throw up here, Alicia?
No.
All right. I'll probably talk too fast, but I'm a little thrown off. All right, thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry. We will be going, this is now the time for the break. How are we doing on time here? We're going to take a 15-minute break. The restrooms are right outside the door. Get some coffee, donuts, etc. And then I'll holler at you guys to come back and we'll start up again.